Hey, what's going on? I'm Patrick Jagger, the Cosmic Alchemist. Welcome to today's video. So in this one I'm going to talk about the December 14th, 2020 solar eclipse in Scorpio. And I'm making this on Sunday, the 13th of December, so the day before. It's pretty apropos. You can see the, oh, wrong side. You can see the shadow of my camera on me. The day was kind of shot, kind of blown out of the water, and it's probably about an hour before sunset I'm making this, so the light is not ideal, but you know, is what it is. So the thing with shadows is that eclipses are shadows. It's when the moon or the sun are darkened by shadows. So tomorrow, December 14th, we've got this solar eclipse in Scorpio, and so the moon will come between the earth and the sun, and it'll cause this shadow. And you know, from a Vedic astrological reckoning, one of the nodes of the moon is Rahu or Ketu, you know, north or south node of the moon, causes these eclipses. They are actually the physical manifestation of the eclipse. They're not actual planets, but they're shadow planets, and they manifest as eclipses. And Rahu and Ketu are these north and south nodes, or dragon's head and dragon's tail. They're basically the karmic shadows of the moon, you might say. And so we're going to have a karmic shadowing of the sun tomorrow. So, you know, during a solar eclipse, you know, from beginning of time, people, they get kind of sensationalized, because basically the sun represents the soul, represents the ego to a degree. You know, I would say it's more the true ego, you know, and to live in the third dimension, which we do here and now, you need an ego, you need a personality that can an avatar that can interface with the world. So the sun symbolizes these things, and it's actually it's a macrocosm for our individual soul, and for our you know, our egos, our true egos, our spiritually informed egos. You know, I would say Rahu is more the worldly ego, you know, that kind of gets lost in its own traps and its own delusions and things. So anyway, when you have a solar eclipse, it basically feels like you're cut off from the power of your soul, from the knowingness of your soul, and it causes people to feel, you know, kind of lost and just disoriented, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Really, for this whole week leading up to this, you know, I've noticed people just losing it, you know, and just feeling really confused and feeling like they're going crazy. And you know, a few days ago I had a Tai Chi class, and it's a really good, it's a good system, a good instructor, and it was just so much energy. I was just driving home. It was intense, and it was difficult to sleep. But you know, when you get into energy practices and you have that feeling, it's basically because, you know, your false ego is being cleansed, and it's being sort of torn apart, so you can go onward and upward to other things, and so you can evolve and grow. So eclipses show us basically where we need to grow, what we need to do to grow. So it's pretty interesting stuff here. So this solar eclipse tomorrow, it's a pretty interesting one. The maximum of the eclipse is at 11:13 a.m. on the east coast of the United States. It won't be visible here. This eclipse will be visible in kind of central and southern South America. Well, penis extender bike. So it'll be visible, yeah, central to southern South America. So we're talking Argentina, Chile, you know, pretty far down there. So we won't see it here in the United States. And the visibility of an eclipse really, it has implications for, what part of the world it's going to affect. Who knows what will happen down there. A lot of earthquake activity down there in the Andes, so maybe keep your eyes peeled for something like that. But, for one, on a personal level, Scorpio deals with our deep thoughts, our deep emotions, our power to transform ourselves, all the hidden secret things in our lives. So, during an eclipse, it's like I'm always saying, during an eclipse, the sun or the moon gets darkened. And when the sun or the moon gets darkened, so the soul or the mind, sun and the moon, when they get darkened, we can see something we couldn't see before. And this is because, light can be illuminating. It shines the light on things. It illuminates things, but it also blinds us. And it's like I talk about with, if you're on a stage and you have a spotlight shined in your face, you can't see what's behind that spotlight. Especially when you're looking at the sun. Since ancient times, the sun was thought of as kind of the eye of God, or it was the it's like the visible manifestation of divinity. And people in all kinds of traditions, people talked about the black sun that is behind the invisible black sun that is behind our visible sun. And this is just all about there being a power behind the sun that we can't see. And this power uses our visible sun, which is in the sky, to warm us and provide us light and all that stuff, provides its benevolence. So when the sun gets darkened, we can see something that was deep within us that we couldn't see before. It's a way of getting a message from that power behind the sun that we normally can't see. We get these precious few minutes where the sun is darkened, and we get kind of the direct transmission from that divine power from behind the sun. So that's what eclipses are all about. Now, wherever the eclipse falls, it tells us, what we need to do to evolve, what we need to do to move forward. So with this being in Scorpio, this eclipse is telling us to go deep inside our beliefs, inside of our our hidden beliefs in in the subconscious and the unconscious, our deep thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and even just our unconscious patterns, our automatic reactions and habits and all of that stuff. And it's telling us to dig deep so that we can just shed parts of us that just don't serve us anymore, that are just pure delusion or pure ego. Now, this is a Ketu eclipse. So again, Ketu is the south node of the moon, and these two nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, are always in opposite signs. So Rahu is present life karma, and it's our obsessiveness, it's our illusions, it's the things we're deluded about, it's the things in life that we have the least experience with. And it's our present life karma. It's what brought us here for us to learn in this life. And Ketu is our past life karma, our past life mastery. And, Ketu is just pure spirituality and no bullshit. Whereas Rahu's basically a bullshit artist. Rahu's a trickster. So, since Ketu is going to be the shadow on the sun this time, really, it's now, since Ketu is going to be the shadow on the sun this time, it's basically, the message here is to just drop these deep beliefs and these deep emotions that are just not serving us anymore, or just we're not really based on anything in the first place. We're just based on our own delusions or our own lies, or just based on perceptions from earlier in our lives or early in our histories if you're talking on a social level, just all these beliefs and thoughts and emotions and worldviews from earlier times when we were less evolved. And it's telling us to really look deeper into ourselves, collectively and individually. Now the thing is too here is that Scorpio also deals with secrets. It can deal with conspiracies, just things that were, kind of backroom deals, just things that were done away from the light of day that people couldn't see. So, to me, this eclipse is really going to shed some light on what's been really going on in the world. And, it's not going to be instantaneous. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and have all the secrets of the world just put on the table for us. But because at its maximum, this is going to be taking place in the 10th house. So Scorpio will be in the 10th house because of where the ascendant is at the maximum at 11:13 a.m. So Scorpio is going to be in the 10th house. This is the house of government. This is the house of society, of officialdom, of hierarchy. So in that 10th house in Scorpio, we're going to have Sun and the Moon, 28 degrees. And let me add too, this eclipse is going to be at Gandanta degrees. So Gandanta it basically stands for, best way to put it is drowning. So it's the last 2 degrees of a water sign, in this case being Scorpio, and the first 2 degrees of a fire sign. So it's on these transitions from signs like Scorpio to Sagittarius, from Pisces to Aries. So this eclipse is taking place in Gandanta degrees. So it's that transition from water to fire. So it's like the water is getting heated and it's boiling basically. So when planets go into these degrees, when you have eclipses or conjunctions at these degrees, it feels like things are out of control and things are really crazy. But these feelings of craziness come to just make our emotions or our thoughts or events apparent to us. It's so that we just can't deny things anymore. That's why things get crazy. So you get the Sun and the Moon at this Gandanta degree, 28 degrees of Scorpio. You get K2 at 25 degrees, so very close enough to cause that shadow of the eclipse. Then you've got Mercury and K2 conjunct at 25 degrees. So, like I said, Rahu plays tricks and creates illusions and covers things up, and K2 drags things out of the dark, and K2 cuts things away, and it basically says, you know what? Here's what you've been doing. You got to stop it. And K2 doesn't play games. So to have Mercury and K2 conjunct here, to me this is really about, Mercury deals with education, and deals with communication, deals with media. So we're going to be shown in time here, we're going to be shown truths about, the educational system and the media, both, not the whole media, because somebody pointed out to me earlier today, you're watching me on YouTube, this is the media. I'm talking major news outlets that are multi-billion-dollar businesses. We're going to see the truth about what they've been up to, and all the censorship they've been up to, and the bias they've had, and and really the media and the intelligence services in all countries is a very fine line between the two. And really, if you do your homework, if you read books by people who've done careers in intelligence services, and you just look at statistics, intelligence services, about 85-90% of their activity is just creating news stories. The way that their clients, big business, big finance, they create stories that tell the story the way that big business wants it to be told, to shape perceptions. So, the media doesn't tell you the truth, it just conveys perceptions to you. So we're going to get a dose of truth about that. You know, Mercury deals with education too. More and more is gonna come out about education. You know, I mentioned it before how the chairman of the chemistry department at Harvard was arrested for alleged espionage, and one of his research assistants was actually a Chinese intelligence officer from the Chinese army, an army lieutenant who lied on her visa application that she was a grad student. So this professor was arrested for basically giving intellectual property to Communist China. So Communist China, the Communist Chinese Party, and really the corporations that control the Communist Chinese Party have been using the American education system, the university system, and greedy or, you know, pro-communist professors have been playing into this agenda. So it's in the news. The guy was arrested back in the spring. It's been a while. Haven't heard much. But we're going to see more about this. And, you know, another important thing here too is, you know, in the 12th house, when its eclipse is at its maximum, we're going to have Jupiter and Saturn conjuncting in almost conjuncting in Capricorn. They're not going to fully conjunct till the 21st, but, you know, a week earlier on the 14th, they're going to be 1 degree apart. Jupiter is going to be coming up behind Saturn 1 degree away. So they're going to be in Capricorn in the 12th house. 12th house deals with losses. It also deals with secrets, isolated places. So secret conspiratorial things get done in isolated places out of sight. So, and you know, the whole Jupiter and Saturn conjunction, it really deals with kind of wiping the slate clean, you know, to create a whole new, kind of a new order. You know, Jupiter and Saturn come together every 20 years, every generation, and they kind of wipe the slate clean for a new generation. They don't totally wipe the slate clean. It deals with what sign they met up in. But they do help set the stage for the next generation, for the next 20 years. So, pretty interesting. So having these two meet up in Capricorn in the 12th house, you're going to be dealing with basically government, you know, even society, officialdom experiencing losses due to secret things that happen. So, you know, pretty serendipitous during the maximum of this eclipse. Again, you've got a solar eclipse in the Gandanta degrees of Scorpio in the 10th house of government, and then you have Capricorn, the sign of government, in the 12th house of secrets, with Jupiter and Saturn almost conjunct. So we're going to get some serious, in the next few months, we're going to get some serious disclosures and revelations about what people in power have been doing, what they've been really up to, even if they've had, you know, nice smiling faces and nice big degrees from big universities, and even if they've been talking real progressive or real patriotic, whatever it is that, you know, your flavor is, we're going to find out what they've been really up to. Things like what the Bidens have been up to. You know, Trumps aren't squeaky clean, but Bidens aren't nice people. They're not nice progressive people. You know, that's basically what politics comes down to is, you know, the right wing is, they're overtly aggressive and selfish, and then the left wing is overtly passive aggressive and selfish. They just put on a nice smile. It's like Malcolm X said, where the conservatives are like wolves and the liberals are like foxes. And lambs can see a big scary wolf coming from a mile away, but a fox with a nice smile on its face gets up close and gets its teeth around the lamb's neck before it even knows what happened, because it had a nice smile on its face and it looked nice. So we're going to find out some serious shit here. Now, midway between Rahu and Ketu, we're going to have Neptune in Aquarius at 24 degrees. So Ketu and Rahu are at 24 degrees of the signs they're in. So Scorpio and Taurus. And then you're going to have Ketu at the sign in the middle, Aquarius, at 24 degrees. So almost the same degree. So really pretty much smack in the middle. Now Neptune is both a deceiver and a revealer. And it depends where your consciousness is at, and you know whether people can fool you. You can't be fooled unless you are delusional and you're being egotistical. And when someone else is selling a delusion or a lie, you have to be deluded enough to buy it. You have to be egotistical enough to buy it. And even, you know, at the Nuremberg war crimes trials, the top Nazis said, you know, propaganda is just it's an opportunity for you to buy someone else's lie. So, depending on where people are at, Neptune is either going to reveal what's been going on in the world, or they're going to double down on their delusions and just aggressively buy into them at a deeper level. Now, Neptune deals with illusions, delusions, and you know, you could even say virtual realities. And you know, media is a virtual reality. You know, people watching this video, you're not sitting right in front of me and having this and listening to this monologue of mine. You're watching it on a virtual reality. You're using technology to do that. So, you know, it's not real. It's real, but it's not real. So Neptune deals with this virtual reality of media. And Neptune is in Aquarius, which is the people. It's us. It's the masses of people. So when this eclipse happens, basically, you know, we, the masses of people, are either going to awaken by degrees, or we're going to become more diluted by degrees, depending on, you know, what we want to do and where we're at. So, you know, it's really up to us. But you're really seeing right now a kind of a parting of the ways between just people on Earth right now. You know, people are either waking up and taking responsibility, and they don't want to be lied to anymore, or they're just doubling down on their favorite political party or, you know, movement or whatever, and they're just buying into a collective, and they're not really doing their own thinking. So, you know, it'll go a different way for anybody, just depending on where they're at. So, you know, and we've got Mars here in Pisces, and it's about to go Gandanta. So we've got some anger building in the wings. It'll be a shit show of an inauguration day, you know, 5 weeks from now. That's a whole other video. I'll get to that sometime. You know, kind of using that as a segue. You know, we're all wondering where this election's going to go. You know, I called it for Donald Trump based on the astrology. This thing is far from said and done. And, you know, nobody in officialdom has called it for anybody. The media has called it for Biden because that's who the corporate sponsors want to see in the White House. So, but this thing's far from over, and there's going to be a lot of, this thing's going to go to court. I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and I think it's going to reverse, and I think a lot of people are going to lose their minds over this. Corruption's everywhere, but, you know, it's like I'm always saying about manipulation. You don't have to be worried about being manipulated by people you hate, by people you can't stand or don't like. You have to be concerned about being manipulated by people that you like. Because when you like people, when you love people, and you put them on a pedestal, you put yourself below them, and you'll buy their bullshit. Now, I'm not saying don't love and like people. I'm just saying you always have to be discerning. You always have to use your gut check. And, you know, you can't be selfless. Being selfless is a disaster. You don't want to be selfish, but you want to have a healthy sense of and relationship with yourself with the uppercase S, not the lowercase. You know, your real self, your higher self. So, yeah, you have to, if you like people, those are the ones that can manipulate you. And if you look back at any time in your life when you've manipulated someone, you've done it to people that have loved and liked you. It's a real pain in the ass to manipulate people that don't like you. Really, the best you can do with them is reverse psychology. And that's a big, circuitous, roundabout pain in the ass. So anyway, yeah. I think things are going to happen with this election result that the mainstream media is not telling people to expect and giving people permission to expect. And it's going to catch people off guard, and you know, people are going to accuse Trump of stealing the election and being a dictator and a Hitler and all this shit. But you know, I think the guy had he had 75% of all the primary election votes. Now, how does that translate to losing if 75 people who voted in the primaries nationwide voted for him? Doesn't add up. So, the nice smiling people in this world are often the most corrupt and the biggest bastards when they're in power. And even little people do this sometimes. Not all nice people are bad, I'm not saying that. I like being nice to people, but you have to use your discernment. You can't be fooled by a smile. So anyway, the whole point here is that Donald Trump is not going away. And, you know, when you, for this eclipse, if you put, you know, I put the eclipse chart into a Leo ascendant, which old Trumpy is, you know, just for ease of reading this thing. And you put that chart of the eclipse with Leo and the ascendant, and you put his chart next to each other, the guy's got some superpowers here. He's coming into some superpowers this coming week. So Rahu and Ketu on this eclipse are in the signs they are in when he was born. So when you have a Rahu Ketu return, and a return is when planets go back to where they were when you were born, you get a renewed sense of your purpose in life. And because Rahu and Ketu are all about your karma, your present and past life karma, you get a renewed sense of what you were born here to do, what you came to Earth to do. So he has, you know, he was born with Rahu and Ketu at 27 degrees. So of Taurus and Scorpio, respectively. So, you know, transiting Rahu is in Taurus right now, where it was when he was born. Transiting Ketu is in Scorpio, where it was when he was born. They were at these degrees, 27 degrees. Let me see, about a month ago. Rahu and Ketu are always in retrograde, so they move backwards, they go down the degrees. But this eclipse is happening within 1 degree of the birth degree of his Rahu and Ketu. So this, you know, 27th degree. He was born, let me see now. He was born just before the solar eclipse in 1946. So he is going to have, on that eclipse day, he is going to have the moon at the exact degree and sign it was at when he was born. So 28 degrees of Scorpio. The sun will be at 29 degrees of Scorpio. When he was born, it was in 29 degrees of Taurus. So it's all very close. And then again, Rahu and Ketu are at 25 degrees. And that's very close to, you know, his birth degrees. So this solar eclipse is happening basically right on top of where Rahu and Ketu were when he was born. It's happening right on top of where his moon and Ketu were. And it's a Ketu eclipse. So the moon and Ketu which are causing the eclipse of the sun, are right where they were when he was born. So he's going to get pretty supercharged from this. And you know, this is in his fourth house. So, you know, the fourth house is it's your home, your homeland, you know, your nourishment, your family. So it's showing that he has a destiny to fulfill with his country. So say whatever you want about him. Everybody on this earth, no matter who, no matter how evil you think they are here to fulfill a destiny and to serve a role in the world. So he's not going anywhere soon. And even if he didn't get inaugurated in January, which I think he will, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I can guarantee you that. So, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. What else did I want to look at here? I think that's about it for that. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, when you overlay the chart of this eclipse over the United States. So, the United States is a Sagittarius ascendant, and so, you know, the United States was born July 4th, 1776. I think the 6:30 p.m. is a good time for it. You know, it's the end of the day. And they say the Declaration got signed, you know, by evening. So, and this chart seems to work well. So this eclipse is happening on the 6th and the 12th houses of the United States, because that's where the Rahu-Ketu axis are. And, you know, I mentioned this in my video about the video about the Pearl Harbor theme. You know, I was wondering if, you know, the transiting Mars conjuncting with China's Rahu, which is in the 4th house of the United States, if it would create some similar conditions to Pearl Harbor. In that video I talked about that, how the Rahu-Ketu axis is in the 6th and the 12th houses of the United States. So this actual eclipse will be happening in the 12th house of the United States. So the sun being eclipsed by Ketu, by the moon and Ketu, will be in the 12th house of the United States, and the sign of Scorpio is there. So, you know, to me this speaks to the United States will be transformed by things that look like losses in the beginning. You know, following this eclipse next year, there are going to be some tough economic times. I think there'll be a bounce this winter. You know, I think it was back in, what was it? It was back in March. Yeah, back in March, there was an eclipse. It was a solar eclipse, and you know, the stock market went down that day, but then it, you know, bounced right back. So, yeah, I think the United States will have some transformative experiences due to losses. Also due to secret activities, conspiratorial doings. So that'll be interesting. But they won't be things that will be hidden forever, I don't think, because, you know, Rahu creates the illusions that enable people to, you know, kick a false narrative down the road. Ketu just drags things out into the open. It just cuts things loose, and it's like, here's the problem, we got to cut it loose. That's the end of it. I don't care how you feel about it. So, again, this is another opportunity for, you know, some revelations to take place. So, it's going to be pretty eventful. I think this is really going to, you know, and other astrologers have been saying this, I'm not coining this term, but it's going to shatter people's realities, and really shattering people's realities is what it's going to take to change anything for the better. It's like I'm always saying, we need to stop kissing the ass of government, of people with more money than us and more education and more status and more power. We need to find our own inner power. And Scorpio is all about finding your inner power, transforming to find your inner power, digging deep to find out what you really have deep in yourself. So, and that's that Mars energy of Scorpio. Mars manifesting through Scorpio doesn't go out and subdue other people and kick other people's asses and conquer new land. It's when you go inside yourself and you kick the ass of your self-defeating, self-sabotaging behaviors and tendencies and beliefs that were unconscious. So it's a chance for us all to do that, and the world's been running on lies for a long time. So we get a chance to kick that to the curb, and you got to remember, the world can't run on lies unless your life or your ego is running on lies to some degrees. And we all do this. And we're all going to have to come face to face with it if we want to improve our lives, move upward and onward. So, people's egos and realities are getting torn apart right now. That's what K2 does. And the sun and moon have been moving into these eclipse positions. So K2 cuts things away so that we can have a deeper sense of spirituality and maturity and evolution. So that was a bit roundabout, but that's what this eclipse is all about. If you want to see how things like these eclipses or just how these times affect you, you can get a Vedic astrology reading with me. In these readings, I really go into, these readings are not for entertainment. I find a lot of astrologers do astrology readings to entertain people. I don't do that. This is a tool to help you to kind of step outside yourself, take a new look at yourself, a different look at yourself, and really see what drives you from a deep level. One of the things we look at, we see what planets rule the different levels of your mind, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. And the unconscious dictates the themes of your whole life path. It's all in there, and you just have to sync up your conscious mind to it to transform your life and get more of what you want out of life. We also look at where your Rahu and Ketu fall, because that indicates your present life karma that basically sets your purpose for this life, and then your past life karma, which is your mastery, your wealth of experience you can draw upon. So you get a lot out of these readings. I custom build meditations that basically get you in line with your astrology, and specifically the planet that rules your unconscious, your planet of dharma or destiny. And I give you a recording too, so you can, a Zoom recording, you can revisit the reading and work with it, and keep drawing more meaning out of it. Usually when you get a reading, it's in one ear and out the other, within a matter of hours. It was the case for me. Pretty much every reading I've had with people, I didn't record it, and it was in one ear and out the other. It was just so much information. So you get to hang on to this recording, to this reading permanently via this recording. I also do rune readings. Runes are a great way to make a mind map and see where things are working well in your personality, within your mind, where things are blocked, and how to rebalance it all to get your life moving forward the way you want it to go. I also have some really helpful video downloads available for sale. A couple Qigong videos. Qigong is a really helpful mind-body practice. It's all about basically increasing the bandwidth for your body and your mind to conduct energy, life force energy, Kundalini energy. And this helps you expand your mind and your perception and just become a more evolved version of you. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and you'll be seeing more of me. Have a good one. And if you like these videos, please be sure to give me a like, subscribe, and a share. Thanks a lot.